We are here. It is Emergence. The picture says Unbreakable, but it's Emergence, I guess. What's it say underneath Unbreakable? I can't tell. Anyway, we are here at Emergence, the August pay-per-view, TEW Impact, August 2022. um, I don't know. This gonna kind of be a weird one, just because partially, I don't know. I'm feeling good about this. I woke up earlier than normal. I have some rare energy, so I'm taking advantage of it, but also in booking the pay-per-view, um kind of bleh on paper, kind of when I came up with it, and I was just kind of like, I don't know if this is going to deliver, but I don't know. I feel it's got potential. But this show's going to be different. This might be after this show where I take a break because my plans for Victory Road and Bound for Glory aren't really coming together still. I have ideas, but a lot of those ideas are very contingent on signing new names. We got news of another name that might be possibly leaving somewhere else that would be a pretty big get for us. Um, if I said their name now, um, it might not seem like a big name, but is a big name to relative to them and us in this game. So hopefully I'm gonna keep a secret, especially if things don't pan out. Um, but yeah, like I said, I have ideas. I say Victory Road might be like 50% fleshed out, but the impacts to get there definitely aren't. But definitely Bound for Glory and some Victory Road are contingent on signing some new fresh faces, hopefully popular faces for us. Um, so I'm excited for the future, but getting there is gonna kind of be a struggle. Um, but yeah, because of that, I think I'm gonna take a break here after the show, and maybe because of that, might do like a little postscript of where we are standing after the pay-per-view. We are only gonna do the impact numbers, considering it's only been a couple days. We don't have a ton of news. Um, some retirements, a title change actually in WWE on SmackDown, but not like a huge one. So I'm just gonna save that for later, till I come back. But our impact numbers for the last episode that we had, BTI TV rating 0.01 as always. Overall rating is a 33, up from a 23, and I realized that in setting that, I think partially, well, the 23 was due to that hardcore match, which gave us a penalty, but also the last episode of BTI, I used actual road agents instead of like our trainee road agents of Nikki Rocks and Eric Stevens. They're still giving penalties to matches, but um, kind of subconsciously, I put in like uh, road agents that didn't give us the penalty. Impact rating 0.30 down from a 0.32. Overall rating 42 down from a 47, and attendance 337 down from a 341. So down, our go home show went down, but still, considering 0.32 is like our best rating that we've gotten so far, 47 is also up there in our ratings and not really considered a huge drop down. So I think we're still in good standing. But yeah, that's Impact. That's really all I got for today before we get to Emergence. So let's just get to it. So we are starting the Emergence pre-show with the Digital Media Championship. Zhao, the champion, defending against both Killer Kelly and Masha Slamovich in a three-way, and Zhao winning, pinning Masha. Zhao with a successful title defense, defense number 4 of the digital media title, with segment rating of 37, so not a bad start. Killer Kelly actually having a better performance than Zhao right now, so maybe, worth keeping in mind to push Killer Kelly a little bit. But yeah, despite the odds being against her, Zhao coming up on top, retaining the digital media title. And then we get a backstage segment where basically Gail Kim presenting Colby Corino with an Impact Talent contract, and Colby Corino signs as a follow up from Impact last week, where Homicide demanded, that Colby Corino be given a contract so he can basically be able to beat his ass legally, in his words. So, not only um, giving Colby a talent contract, but making the match official tonight. And also Gail Kim giving Colby a word of warning that, due to his recent behavior, she doesn't necessarily approve of this, but it was a request by Homicide, granted by her, and she basically kind of gives him a word of warning that um, Homicide is liable to do anything. He has a violent streak in him, and Colby likely knows, but that's why he's here. Colby probably wants to prove that he's also got that streak in him, but we'll find out how that match goes later on tonight. Segment rating of 29 for that. And then we get Brian Myers defeating Joe Hendry. Um, Stipulation of this match where if Joe Hendry won, then Brian Myers would help CPA get his job back. Brian Myers playing off the sympathies of his former student losing his job and his spot in Impact. Um, but also, being the two-faced kind of guy that he is, Brian Myers cheating to get the victory, confirming that he really does not intend on bringing or wanting CPA back. Uh, Not necessarily using a foreign object, but probably a pull of the tights or a holding on to the ropes during a pinfall. But Brian Myers defeating Joe Hendry, coming out on top. Both pretty equal in performance. The storyline gaining heat, so that's pretty good. Segment rating of 36. I know pre-show matches don't really factor in on the overall card rating, but uh, I wasn't sure if I was going to put this on the main card or not. But this was going to be a pre-show, or ended up on the pre-show. So probably could have done better, but definitely could have gone worse. Good start, decent start for the pre-show of Emergence. I keep wanting to say Unbreakable because the picture says Unbreakable. But we go into the pay-per-view. Ooh, not bad. The Wolves starting off the pay-per-view with a successful title defense against Rep 419. Um, Rep 419 earning this title shot after defeating the Machine Guns on the last Impact, and also having gone through a series of teams in recent weeks. But, not only has maybe fatigue possibly set in, but also general lack of experience, except especially on the part of Sam Beale. Continues to be the weak link, but maybe I haven't been keeping track from match to match, but maybe he's, doing better. Hopefully that's the goal. But, a pretty handy, successful title defense for the Wolves when Eddie Edwards makes Sam Beale tap out to a submission. Segment rating of 49, so a good start for the pay-per-view. Storyline gaining heat. Of course, probably likely carried by the Wolves to this rating. The Wolves almost always deliver for us, so a good way to start the show. After the match, the Wolves celebrate when the lights go out and when they come back on. The Wolves are confronted by PCO and Brody King and Father Bateman, who isn't listed, but let's just say he's there. Um, Father Bateman commanding PCO and Brody King to attack the Wolves. So, kind of a rehash of the previous Wolves versus Gospel of Violence, but the Gospel of Violence now including PCO, and Brody King working as a unit after weeks of torturing each other. So that torture, that, uh, ability to take and deliver violence, take, violence onto themselves and deliver it onto each other, uh, but also to deliver it unto the Wolves once again, but this time with PCO on their side. So likely um, announcing, not an official announcement, but staking their claim as the possible next contenders to the Impact World titles, World Tag Team titles. Segment 40, decent. The tag team title uh, storyline losing heat, but the Gospel of Violence internal storyline gaining heat. So I guess that evens out. And we know the Wolves will deliver, as they always do. So we'll see how this PCO and Brody King relationship will play out. We get Jordynne Grace versus Su Yung. Um, Su Young's first match since, well, technically in the game, she didn't even have a baby. She was just off, um, uh, just not being used. She wasn't on maternity leave or anything. Um, but we're kind of factoring that into the story. This is Su Young's first match, but also just kind of using her supernatural powers, whatever, to get a win over Jordynne Grace. Likely Rich Swann interference as well. Jordynne Grace and Su Yung don't seem to click, so it made for an awkward bout. Just kind of wondering how Su Yung would fare in her first match being used in this save. We basically just had her on the roster, just sitting there for months since the beginning of January. So we're wondering how this would shake out, and it shaked out as something fairly average. Segment rating of 30. Storyline losing heat. Probably will not. Well, I have some plans, but maybe we'll cut this storyline off early, especially if Jordynne Grace and Su Yung are not clicking. Um, Maybe Gresham and Swan can carry this a little bit more. But yeah, Su Yung getting the win, likely with dubious means and spooky magic powers over Jordynne Grace. Segment rating of 30. And basically, after the match, Jonathan Gresham coming out to attack Rich Swann, defending his wife's honor. More so a brawl to the back than an actual Gresham beating down Rich Swann. Segment rating of 33 for that. Maybe we'll do something where Su Yung magically disappears and no one knows where she is, but, basically, Su Yung and Rich Swann getting one over Gresham and Grace. Does Swann, know more than he's letting on? Is he telling the truth about Sue, him not knowing that Sue is even in the building whenever she shows up, all that stuff. So, segment rating of 33 for that. We get the match between Colby Corino and Homicide, where Colby Corino defeating Homicide by disqualification. So basically, Homicide, uh, Colby showing, an effort, a good effort, hanging in there with Homicide. I was kind of wondering how he would fare, considering this is his first match with us, and he's hanging in there. The storyline gaining heat, but basically, Homicide, after a while, going apeshit, attacking Colby Corino with a chair, drawing the disqualification, and Homicide really does not care. He continues beating Colby Corino down with the chair into the afterwards of the match. Segment rating of 39, and then basically after the match, like I said, Homicide continuing to beat down Colby Corino with multiple chair shots. Eventually, Hernandez coming out to take the chair from him, hold him back, and basically wondering what has gotten into Homicide to suddenly draw out this ire. Homicide ranting and raving. Colby having attacked him, laid him out in the back, having attacked him, cost him multiple matches. So maybe, people are wondering if this is justified attack or if this is an overreaction on the part of Homicide, but we will have to just continue and see. But Homicide basically beating the shit out of Colby Corino with a chair. And, did he get his, justice, as it were? We'll find out. But the storyline losing Heat with that, I wasn't really sure how to book this. This is just a freestyle because I couldn't really find like a uh, one saves the other from an attack angle suitable for this. So probably would have done better with an actual angle, but segment rating of 29 for that. Then we go to the next match where Jake Something defeating Damian O'Connor. Had this set as a wild brawl because, of course, two big dudes going at it. Um, Fairly straightforward match, mostly due to Jake Something having Heath and Rhino by his side. So whenever Eric Young would try to interfere on behalf of Damian O'Connor, it would be immediately canceled out by Heath and Rhino. So, with that, with EY basically neutralized, Jake was able to defeat Damian O'Connor in the end. Segment rating of 41. Storyline gained heat, but unfortunately, Something and O'Connor do not seem to click again. So, or I don't know if they clicked before, but this is another match where people are not clicking. So hopefully, um, they were still able to deliver. 41, still not bad. I wasn't expecting a ton, but Damian has been bringing, you know, putting on good performances lately. I was kind of hoping that would get it a little higher, but not too bad considering they didn't click. You know, I'll take it. Segment rating 41 for them. And basically after the match, Jake Something and Heath and Rhino celebrating in the ring while did Big Damo and EY retreat and live to fight another day. So yeah, Jake Something getting the win. His friend with help from his friends, but the help. Just ensuring that the match was on the straight and narrow. They didn't interfere. They just made sure Eric Young also didn't interfere. So Jake Something getting one over on Damian and Eric. Segment rating of 41 for that. And then we go to a backstage segment. Basically, Ace Austin talking with Madman Fulton. They're talking about the world title match. They know it's going to be a big deal. And Ace Austin is looking at his world title shot briefcase. He's like, I could easily cash this in tonight. It doesn't matter who wins. Jeff Jarrett could win. He's leaving anyway. He doesn't need that belt. I'll cash it in on him. Josh, if he wins, I'll cash it in on him. Doesn't matter. And while he's bragging, basically, Mike Bailey runs in, starts jumping Ace Austin. Um, doesn't get super far because Fulton is right there to, you know, protect Fulton, but you can definitely tell that Bailey is trying to attack Austin to make sure he doesn't cash in that briefcase tonight. Suddenly Gail Kim breaks up the fight with security, and Gail is like, "No, we're not doing this. Not tonight. This is Jarrett's retirement match. We're not doing this tonight." And she looks at all three. She's like, "None of you are booked in a match tonight. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm ejecting all three of you from the arena. If any of you try to get back into the arena tonight, you will just be kicked off premises. Maybe, facing suspension or punishment if you try to come back into the arena." Austin's freaking out. He wanted a possible chance to cash in his title shot. Bailey's pretty satisfied. That was basically his intent all along. So Bailey's plan basically worked out in the end. He doesn't really care if he's ejected from the ring or from the arena. So with that, we shall hope that Jeff Jarrett's retirement match, the Impact World title match later tonight in the main event, Josh versus Jeff Jarrett, win, lose, or draw, Jeff Jarrett's final match. Hopefully going on without a hitch tonight. Segment rating of 35. We get the Knockouts title match where Rosemary successfully defends against Viper. Fairly straightforward match. Rosemary dispatching of the bigger, meaner, in a way, Viper. Her surprisingly her first defense of the Knockouts title. And actually Viper getting a better in-ring performance. So I know I didn't exactly book this match with the greatest build-up, but Viper bringing in a pretty decent performance, um, comparatively speaking. You know, I know this isn't 80s and 90s rating, but Sigma ring of 37. Could have done better, but for a solid title defense for Rosemary, it did the job. And then basically after the match, Rosemary celebrating the title defense, segment rating of 46. So it shows, Rosemary's fairly over. So hopefully we can do better by Rosemary by, getting her at least some booking, better booking. I wouldn't say Viper is worse a drop in competition, but we also haven't really done right by her either. So, but basically proving that Rosemary could carry the Knockouts division. We just have to, book it well, which, we'll see about that. And then we get Michael Bennett versus W. Morrissey with W. Morrissey's contract on the line, where if Morrissey is able to win, Maria KaneLLC will null and void Morrissey's contract. He will essentially be a free agent as far as Maria and her group goes, but it will not be tonight because Maria interferes on her husband's behalf, costing Morrissey the match. Michael Bennett defeating Morrissey with some interference. Michael Bennett having a good performance, Morrissey having a decent performance. Segment rating of 35. I kind of wasn't expecting a ton from this match, so whatever. But the plan is, keeping W. Morrissey under lock and key, which after the match, basically, Maria cuts a promo on Morrissey, basically asking, she's like, "Did you think it was going to be that easy? Did you think I was just going to let you go just like that? You may not be my husband. You may not be like the chosen one, of course, or, for lack of a better word, but you're definitely my biggest asset, and I'm going to use you, and you're going to be, you know, at my command because when I'm running Impact, whenever that may be, you claim to be the biggest star in Impact. Well, I'm going to make sure the biggest star is under my employ and under my beck and call. So you're going to do whatever I want you to do. if it means losing to my husband and, being second fiddle to him, then you're going to do it. So Maria basically ensuring that W. Morrissey continues to be under her employ. Segment rating of 47 for that. Then we get the X Division championship match where Swerve Strickland successfully defends against Chris Bay once again. Bay making his way into a rematch of sorts from a couple months ago, but Bay not getting it in the end. Swerve with a performance of 46, Bay with 39. Overall segment rating of 44, so not too bad. Probably not the best, but still, decent, like the thing says. So Swerve continuing his X Division title reign, successful defense, number 5. But as Swerve celebrates with the title, a big, burly, hooded, uh, sweatshirted man jumps the ring and attacks Swerve, lays him out with a power bomb or power slam or some cool power move. The man takes down his hood, and it's Will Hobbs, Powerhouse Hobbs from AEW, having been let go a few weeks ago. Will Hobbs making his Impact debut by attacking Swerve Strickland. Debuted a badass gimmick, which I did not give to him. I just left his gimmick alone. But we'll probably have to end up changing that or at least tweaking it because it got an initial rating of poor. Need to be more star power to have Will Hobbs fighting that long, which I probably had at like 4 minutes. So post match attack, Will Hobbs hopping the rail in a hooded sweatshirt and, laying out Swerve, and then the big reveal of Hobbs. Small boost to microphone, small boost to star quality. So hopefully, this was just a hiccup and Will Hobbs will prove to be a good hire by us. But for now, not the greatest start, but it's something to work with. And him being paired with Swerve, Swerve will deliver. Swerve's like the Wolves, where he'll consistently deliver the goods. He'll give us good ratings. So, but looks like Will Hobbs staking his claim to the X Division title. It will be interesting to see how he will fare in the X Division, and if he can take the belt off of Swerve. And then we go to another big boy brawling match. Joe Doering versus Lance Archer, a match, months or at least weeks in the making. Lance Archer having called out Joe Doering for weeks while he's been in Japan. Technically he wasn't, but or at least he could have been, or at least he could have been booked, but we haven't. But Joe Doering answering the call, but in the end, it's Lance Archer going over Joe Doering clean. Uh, I've been kind of noticing that Joe's performance hasn't been the greatest, while Lance's has been on the rise. So we are giving Lance Archer this win. Whether he will get another win in the future or the final feud-ending win, if you will, remains to be seen. But the storyline's gaining heat, which is good. Segment rating of 44. Archer with a performance of 48. Doering with a performance of 36. So in my head, the kind of original loose plan was to push Doering towards the world title, or at least towards, the general world title division, but I feel that's going to be Lance Archer's spot now, and this is kind of him staking that claim. Lance Archer, of course, he's probably, definitely deserving of a title shot in the near future. Whether or not he gets one, we'll just have to wait and see. But Lance Archer tonight going over Doering, segment rating 44. And then post match, Archer continuing to beat down Joe Doering, in fact. So that losing heat, so we're probably even on the storyline. But basically, Lance Archer showing his dominance over Joe Doering, who, in himself is dominant. So Lance Archer definitely showing how, powerful and, dominant. Dominant seems to be the key word here. But yeah, Lance Archer probably in line for a world title shot in the near future. Segment rank of 38. Then we come back with the Knockouts Tag Team title match. The Inspiration defending against the BFFs of Chelsea Green and Deonna Purrazzo. And it's actually the BFFs getting the win here, finally dethroning the Inspiration as Knockouts Tag Team Champions. They've been champions since the beginning of the save. Granted, I haven't given them a ton of matches, but in the end, we have new tag team champions with the help of Tennille Dashwood. So Tennille Dashwood basically turning her back on her former friends after the past few weeks, where she has kind of accused them of career sabotage, where they have just claimed that they just don't want anything to do with her anymore, and whatever she does from here on out is on her own. But Tennille is claiming um, actual interference on any sort of furthering from her career. Of course, egged on by the BFFs. So Tennille interferes. Cassie Lee gets hooked into Fujiwara armbar from Deonna. Deonna gets the win. Deonna carrying the match, which is probably to be expected. We haven't had the Inspiration that much in ring. Maybe on a few big pay-per-views. Chelsea on the lower end. Also, she's also not she's still annoyed with us. I don't know if that really affects her in ring, but yeah. So Deonna being the head and shoulders star of this match to be expected. Um, Storyline gaining heat. Segment rating of 39. We foreshadowed a face turn for the Inspiration. Cassie Lee seeing ball for game, handle changes. We are not going to turn them yet, because we are turning them in the next segment where Tennille joins the BFFs in a 3-on-2 beatdown, which loses heat. So storylines gaining heat in the matches, but then losing heats in the post-match segments is a theme tonight. Segment rating of 29. This is where we're going to turn the Inspiration, which I tried, like, in booking, I tried to do in the match, but it wouldn't let me because I wanted them to turn face due to Tennille attacking them. But but in the match, I guess if you're trying to turn someone in a match, you can only be turned on by someone in the match, and technically Tennille wasn't in the match, so I couldn't use Tennille to turn Cassie or Jessie. But that's what this segment is for. Turn Cassie babyface, turns complete success. Jessie, okay, so good. Inspiration, not mad at us. We just got to make sure we book or at least set our face turns or heel turns in well far in advance, completely blowing any sort of suspense or surprise for anyone watching this or keeping track. But in the end, that's what we want. Inspiration are now faces. BFFs are, victorious. They are the new tag team champions. Tennille, is she on their side? She seems decent, or distant, but does join in on a 3-on-2 beatdown. So we shall see how this shakes out for Tennille. Will her career go on the upswing that she's always wanted now that she's with the BFFs instead of the Inspiration? So we'll see about that. We get, for the main event, Jeff Jarrett. We give him a big entrance. I was hoping we would not get this lack of anything interesting because I thought Jeff Jarrett was over enough that we would not get that, but apparently we still do. So, reminder to stop giving people entrance special entrances. Um, but yeah, Jeff Jarrett, we're putting over the fact that he could win, lose, or draw. This is his final match in the ring. We are here in, I think it was Nashville, Tennessee. So we wanted to have a Tennessee send off for Jeff Jarrett, but could he walk out with the Impact World Championship around his waist? Segment rating of 30. We'll find out. And no, he doesn't. Josh Alexander defeating Jeff Jarrett by submission in 15 minutes. Defense number 7 of the Impact World title. So Jeff Jarrett hanging in there, and still hanging in there in the ring. He had a 40, Josh Alexander with a 43. So, despite Jarrett's age or whatever, because I wanted this match to go longer, and I think I still have it as a spectacle, but yeah, it's a spectacle. Working their way to working their way slowly up to a huge finish, just a big Jeff Jarrett main event match, as he always tends to do. But I couldn't go any longer than 15 minutes because the road agent, D'Lo Brown, was telling me that Jeff Jarrett could not go that long, um, probably due to his age. But, looks fine to me, I guess. He probably could have gone longer if this was real life Jeff Jarrett. But, you know, his last match, he could not get the job done in the end. Maybe he came close. He probably came close. Probably did that one arm Jeff Jarrett kick out that pisses people off, especially when I did that to Raven years ago. But I'm not mad. Probably did that, but in the end, having the tap out to Josh Alexander's ankle lock. Josh Alexander walking out of Emergence, still the world champion. Jeff Jarrett walking out, possibly of Impact. He said his retired. This is his last match in the ring, but is he leaving Impact? We shall see. Probably not, but we do have him signed for like a year. But his last match in the ring, going out, passing the torch to Josh Alexander, if you will. Segment rating of 41. Was kind of hoping it would do better, but considering this is like the big main event match, and considering this is Jeff Jarrett's basically farewell match, at least again in ring, um, kind of hoping closer to like 50, but 41, we'll take it. And then basically to end the show, um, Josh Alexander defending, you know, celebrates with the title, but maybe all the things that he said to Jeff, the last couple weeks maybe went too far. So Josh goes over to the fallen Jeff Jarrett, extends his hand, helps him up, and they shake on it. And, the pyro goes off. We get our feel good ending. Jeff Jarrett, his last match, he, was able to hang one last time, but the King of the Mountain could not, in the end, get the title. Josh still the Impact World Champion, segment rating of 43. So we finished the show. Show popularity increased in 19 regions, overall rating of 43. So, yeah, our best match was the opener, surprisingly. I wasn't I expected the Wolves to deliver, but I expected Trey and Sam to drag the match rating down a bit, which they might have. But considering the Wolves are so good, that's why I selected that as the opener. But, 49 for the Wolves, 41 for something versus O'Connor, 44 for the X Division title match, 44 for Archer versus Doering, and then 41 for Josh and Jeff Jarrett. So when we do our speech, we're gonna do Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett is, his last match. Da, 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 da. Repeatedly insult? No. uh, we'll compliment him on a good performance. He didn't have a great performance, but, he was able to hang, and that's what matters. And then, let's give it to the Wolves. When was the last time the Wolves got something? Davey Richard was told he was awesome. Eddie in April, Eddie in June. So it was 2 months ago, but they still had the best match on the card. Yeah, let's give it to them. They're delivering for us. So Eddie and Davey, we'll compliment them on good performances. So Jeff is pleased, Eddie is pleased, Davey is pleased. So that's Emergence in the books. A good show, probably not a great show, but yeah. Before I go, like I said, this might be the last show for a while. I'm going to take a break, but instead of waiting all that time for a post-emergence rundown, let's just go into it live. So, we'll come back, let this load, and we'll see what we got. So we are going to look at emergence, our results, our comparison to other shows. Got a 43 show rating overall, attendance of almost 1,400, a buy rate of 0.58. As far as, well, this is just going by date, so this is the most recent. As far as ratings, not super great, I guess, better, excuse me, better than our shows from like the beginning of the year, but comparing to, what was the last show? July, yeah, Against All Odds was a 45 last month. 45, attendance of 1,420, buy rate of 0.59, 43, attendance of under 1,400, 0.58. So smallish drops, but we're still somewhat up there. Attend Against All Odds was a 45. Rebellion was a 45 from April. Slammiversary was a 46. Slammiversary from June. And Under Siege from May was a 47. What was Under Siege? Oh yeah, that was Motor City Machine Guns versus the Good Brothers to end. So, yeah, 1,400, 1,500, 12, 14, 13. Yeah, so Slammiversary at our highest attendance. Then Against All Odds. Then Under Siege. Then Emergence. So we're kind of hanging steady, I guess. We're not breaking records, but we're, compared to where, well, I want to say compared to where we were, because like compared to where we were, beginning of the year, our show ratings were kind of crappy, but we were getting good attendances. Like we started off with 2,300 in January, and we've kind of, been steadily going downward, uh, probably due to our losing regional battles, which is why we need to sign higher, more bigger names. So we had 2,300 for January, 1,800 for February, 1,500 for March, and then we've kind of been hovering around that 1,500 uh number for our pay-per-views. So um yeah, Rebellion was 1,200. That was probably our lowest. But yeah, so yeah, that's where Emergent stands. Um Not a great show, but a good show, a solid show, which is probably what we need, but what we really need is more over talent, higher, we have the Wolves, we have the machine guns, we're trying to build Josh Alexander up as the guy, but he's delivering, but not on quite on their level. We have Swerve. Swerve delivers, but we need more. We need, NWA hiring guys like Cody. Definitely kind of screwed us. So we definitely need guys on that level to, yeah. I was wondering if I should keep talking, but this isn't gonna spoil anything. This is just morale issues. I don't have um any people signed yet or new names signed yet, but like I said, a lot of our future plans hang on who we can and can't sign. Um, I can't imagine not being able to sign these people, but let's just look over the notes as we are here just for funsies. Uh, Sheamus got injured, dislocated knee. Will be sidelining him out for a few weeks. PWG had a show. We should probably go over these shows because PWG had a show. We had Takeover, Absolution, um, Defy hiring Sheamus O'Shaughnessy, Samoa Joe, winning the North American Championship at Takeover. So maybe we haven't jinxed him quite yet. He lost the NXT title, he lost the 24/7 title, but now he's um, North American champion. Allison Kay winning the Shimmer title over Zoe Sky. Joe Hennig retiring. Cody Rhodes winning the world title of PWG over Bandito. So not only is he NWA champion once again, but he's also PWG champion. Stinger is being disbanded. These are probably stuff I will mention later on, but like I said, it might be a while till the next show, so who knows? That's why we're looking at this stuff now. New champions in NXT. Gigi Dolan and JC Jane winning back the women's tag team champions. Nightshade and Eve winning. Glenn Gilberty retiring. Fuck you, Glenn. um, Lots of retirements. Braun Breaker likely resigning. Layla Hirsch hurt again. Mild concussion. Robert Martyr frustrated. 6 months without work. Sammy Guevara agrees to deal with Defy. So is Jungle Boy. So yeah, Defy. I don't think they are in um, our regional battle, but Defy also making names, signing names. Maybe they're not even in a battle. So yeah, Defy has a you know decent roster. Let's go to these shows. PWG had a show. Events. July. Speed of Sound. Result. Wait, why am I doing it from here? Let's go to the main screen. Let's do an over. Takeover. Samoa Joe defeating Braun Breaker and Dexter Lumis for the North American title. Braun Breaker was the champ. Roderick Strong retaining the Cruiserweight title against Ike Manjiro, which I'm pretty sure Roderick Strong has only been wrestling Ike Manjiro for like the last month or two. Dolan and Jane defeating Totally Awesome and Catanzaro and Carter for the tag team titles, who's totally awesome. Lacey Ryan and I think this is Valentina Ferros. Um, yes, they were the champs. Casey Catanzaro and Ken Carter in the match as well, but they're not Toxic Attraction. Toxic Attraction broke up, and I think Mandy Rose went to the main roster. Cora Jade defeating the Rock's daughter. Ivy Nile defeating Wendy Chu to retain the women's title. Yeah. Scott D'Amore in another match. Solo Sikoa and MSK defeating Odyssey Jones, Scott D'Amore, and Tony D'Angelo. D'Amore and D'Angelo would probably be a good team. Robert Stone and LA Knight defeating Carmelo Hayes and Andre Chase by DQ. So that's Takeover. Impact got PWG Cody Rhodes defeating Bandito for the PWG World Titles. The tag team titles. Yeah. Heath Lee and Carlito defeating Athena and Orange Cassidy to retain the PWG titles. Black Taurus, who we did not book, but teamed with Evil Uno to defeat the bounty hunters of Ray Horus and Jesus Rodriguez. Super Dragon defeating Ava Marie. Yeah. So yeah, that was the PWG show. Absolution. I think this must have been where Sheamus got injured. Sheamus and PB Smooth defeating Leo Rush and Matt Cardona in the main. The Duke, Brian Carson, and Carl Anderson defeating Jake Christ and Power and Glory, which is Manders and Tim Donst. Swoggle versus Jack defeated Jack Verville. Shane Douglas defeating Lewis Linden, Derek Dillinger, and Braden Lee. Colin Delaney defeating Mance Warner. Mance, who we also didn't use. And then Weird and Wonderful defeating Wes Barkley and Trey Lamar in the pre-show. Weird and Wonderful being Frankie Flynn and Levi Everett. So, Shimmer. I guess we can look at that. Allison Kay defeating Zoe Sky for the Shimmer title. Nothing really here that addresses us. So, yeah. I think that is probably it. So yeah, a cool look, I guess, at what's going on right now. And I might as well save while I'm here. In game, I guess. But yeah, that's August week 2. Uh, Impact Unbreakable / Emergence in the books. So yeah, don't know really how to end this because I'm not sure when I'll be back, but I want to get plans nailed down for Victory Road and Bound for Glory at the very least. Hopefully, the end of the year further out, but like I said, we're kind of in a state of flux because a lot of what I want to do in the future depends on signing people, fitting them into places where I feel fit, and mostly not making Bound for Glory a big ol' uh, new signing fest where I just dump all these big names to get a pop into Bound for Glory. But yeah, for all those watching, thanks for watching. Like I said, don't know when I'll be back specifically, but hopefully it'll be soon. Hopefully I can, you know, get something going. And until then, thanks for watching.